We are back on MorningLine, coming to you live this morning on the Plus, as well as streaming live on Facebook at newschannel5.com. And you see on the screen there with us is Jim Shulman. He's the Vice Mayor for the city of Nashville, and we can take your calls and comments from folks. A lot of folks ringing us up now and following us on Facebook. Is there a difference between shelter in place and safe in place?
I think safer in place is what I believe the Mayor Cooper called it. And other groups are using it too. I'm not sure if there's a complete difference. Sheltering in place may have more of a connotation of everybody's locked down. Okay. So we're safer in place, that's what they're calling it. Obviously, we're still allowing people, essential folks, to get out, do what they need to, go to the grocery store. We're not in lockdown. Again, it's common sense. You know, how do you distinguish what's essential and what's not essential? We're hopefully people are using their best judgment and figuring out who's essential and who's not.
Gotcha. All right, let's take a phone call or two. We'll go to Carol. Carol, good morning. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is about the safer at home mandate, which I applaud the mayor for being proactive. If cases continue to rise even after the 14-day mandate, would the mandate be extended?
Yeah, Carol, that's a good question. You know, the hope is that, you know, within the next 14 days, which I think are very, very important, people do what they're supposed to. I've already said that before. You know, people stay at home, essential employees get out, non-essential stay home and work from home. It can always be extended. I think after watching what's been going on around the country, when you kind of say, okay, we're gonna, you know, there's no date at the end, people get really, really upset. This is tricky, but I like the fact that he put a time deadline on it. It's 2 weeks. That's very optimistic, but it does give an end. It's like, okay, let's do it, you know, in bits. So let's take these first 2 weeks. Let's do what we're supposed to, get people to stay at home, and then we'll see. Again, the whole idea is to, you know, flatten that curve, which everybody keeps talking about. You know, we don't want to inundate the medical system. Flatten the curve, stay at home, be safe, and then we reassess at the end of the 2 weeks. And he can always extend it for another 2 weeks. He can extend it, you know, for another period of time. But we're doing it in chunks. Let's take it a little bit at a time.
This is a health crisis, obviously, and so that's priority number one, dealing with what you just said. But a lot of people right now on Facebook, and some of the callers as well, are bringing up too the added stress on all this. And maybe you can talk about what Metro and maybe the Metro Action Commission can do. Is like a lot of these folks have lost jobs or they're off work right now, and they're not going to be getting a paycheck. They've got rent to make, okay? They've got utilities to pay. They have food to buy, and they're literally worrying about surviving, not just the virus, but the economic impact. I know the president has talked about trying to address this, and the governor as well, the mayor. I mean, what can be done at these different levels to help someone who's sitting at home right now like, look, my rent's going to be due here at the end of this month. Right. Okay, so is my utility bill. I heard one town is saying, oh boy, if you don't meet this deadline, we're turning your water off, which we're checking into. I mean, are there going to be orders to utilities to, look, maintain?
So if you go to the covid19.nashville.gov, there is a whole list of utilities and what they're doing at this point. Without jumping too far ahead, we've been working with the mayor's office over the last day or so, actually over the weekend, and we've been working on putting together a small business task force, which is going to bring some people in immediately to start saying, okay, so I run a small independent business, you know, I've got 10 employees, this is what I'm facing right now, this is what I need. Councilmember Steve Glover was heavily involved in the initiation of this thing. So we are working on that today. We hopefully will get all that taken care of, and it will be ready to go, like today. I think the idea is to bring together people who have been impacted, obviously not just by COVID-19, but by the tornadoes. What do we need? So there are people working on this. We have, you know, as we're trying to deal with the health issue, we also have an economic issue, and people are sitting home, like you said.
Right. So it just from your gut, I mean, is it safe to say that at least if this stay safer in place order stays in 2 weeks, maybe longer, we're not going to see people getting evicted or having their power and water turned off?
So hopefully not. I mean, so I think there's the sheriff. If you look on that website, the sheriff is not following up on eviction orders.
Okay.
I mean, so obviously we're paying attention to this. I think what people need to know is that there are a number of people that are working very hard to figure all this stuff out. It had to be, in many ways, health first. What are the ramifications? What do you need to do to keep people healthy? How do we get control over this thing? How do we make sure it doesn't spread so that, it's 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks, or whatever. But that's the immediate thing. And that's right. People just need to understand that. Mm-hmm. But there's an economic situation as well, which is, okay, so now we've got small businesses that can't open.
Right.
What do we do about that? And then there are ramifications from that. What about the supply chains coming up? Our independent restaurants, you've got local farmers that provide that, so you got to watch that. And then you've got people that aren't working, and so how does the unemployment work? What's the best thing for them to do? And then what about utilities and rent and so forth? So everybody's working really, really quickly. Keep an eye on your local news stations, who I think are doing an amazing job of being very positive and trying to give you the information, and we're trying to get the information to you as quickly as we can.
And we're hoping, I think, Vice Mayor, that sometime, maybe later today, Congress will get together, and we're talking about a $1 trillion aid package that's going to be put together that hopefully will trickle down, obviously, finally, to cities like ours and help. So let's take another phone call. We'll go to Melanie. Good morning, Melanie.
Good morning.
Hey, Melanie.
Hi, what's on your mind?
I've tuned in late. I don't know if this question has been asked or not, but I'm not far from the testing site up here where the old Kmart was. And I was just wondering, do they know when it will be active?
Okay, and what area is that again?
It's off on Murfreesboro Road, where the precinct was supposed to be built.
All right.
The old Kmart site.
Okay, so let's talk to the Vice Mayor about that. We touched a bit on it earlier in terms of supply chain and whether or not more of these areas are going to open up. I don't know if you're familiar with that specific one.
Well, so if it's a metro site, so there are sites available. I know Vanderbilt has sites open. I think Nashville General is a place you can go. Meharry. You can certainly call the health department. I think the neighborhood health associations, United Healthcare, I think is United Neighborhood Healthcare is opening up a facility. But what I would do is at this point, if you have a primary doc, call them. If you're experiencing some symptoms or you're just nervous about it, call your doctor. If not, I'd call the health department here. Or there's a state number you can call, which is all on the website. I don't have it in front of me, but we can get it. You can certainly do that. In terms of the sites, if you're talking about a particular site that I think may look like it's getting ready, they're waiting to make sure they have the proper number of supplies. Again, there are places you can go right now. But we're trying to get the supplies in so we can open up more sites. So that's what I think she's talking about.
Have you heard anything with regard to the Nashville airport at this point? We have some people asking just about that. I mean, I don't know many that are flying, obviously, and hotels, are probably occupancy way down. But the airports, I keep waiting to see at what point, maybe flights are grounded,
I hadn't heard anything about that. Obviously, I know that the airport authority is taking tremendous precautions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sanitizing things, they're going around cleaning all the time. And so, they want to stay open as long as everything is flying. I mean, again, we're encouraging people to use common sense.
As we go to the break, we have from Karen in Scotland. Maybe you can answer this for her as she's a visitor. She has a trip set to visit our beautiful city in July. Should she cancel, Vice Mayor?
In July. Stay with us for a couple of weeks and let's see. Don't cancel yet. So this thing, it's such a weird thing. We don't know exactly what's going to happen when it starts getting hot here. Mm-hmm. We're all hopeful.
Yeah, so much unknown.
Stay with
right
us.
now.
You might
Yeah,
come.
stay tuned on that. As we go to the break, you've probably already heard, though, the Summer Olympics postponed in Japan. So we'll see. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your calls and more of your comments from Facebook. We are streaming live at newschannel5.com and on the Plus with Metro Nashville Vice-Mayor Jim Shulman. We'll be right back.
Storm 5 weather update. For weather on the go, download the Storm Shield app.
Hi everyone, I'm News Channel 5 meteorologist Leland Statham. We'll keep an eye to the radar, especially in the 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. time frame today when the risk for severe weather will be greatest as the line of showers and storms will move from west to east. So the western areas see the chance for showers and storms and the severe weather threat mid-afternoon. Eastern counties in an 8 to 10 p.m. time frame for your area. Here's a look at what's happening right now with those temps and what's happening right now at Nashville International. For today, area showers and thunderstorms. Some of the storms this afternoon could be strong to severe, damaging wind gusts, hail, heavy downpours, and even isolated tornadoes are a possibility. Tomorrow, dry, 81. Friday, we'll watch Saturday. May need a Storm 5 alert for that day as well.
I'm Ronald Webb, and Nashville's my home. When I had my car accident, Michael Ponzi was a lifesaver. He got me the money I needed to get me and my family back on our feet so we could get back to making some of the best barbecue in Middle Tennessee. That's why I recommend Ponzi Law.
Ponzi Law, justice for all. 615-244-4321.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-760-0103. 1-800-760-0103.
Us on this Tuesday. Nick Beres here. We're streaming live on Facebook at newschannel5.com if you have questions or comments there, along with the Plus here. You can call us with Metro Vice-Mayor Jim Shulman, and I was looking during the break through several of the comments. There are folks out there who say, look, I mean, we're kind of wedged into a corner here. We don't want to go to work, okay, because of the order, and we want to stay home and be safe. We're even willing to bypass or use our vacation time or not get paid. But what if the boss says, if you don't show up, I'm going to fire you? I mean, they're in a pickle here, and what's their choice? They don't want to lose their job. They want to stay safe. And as I say, some of them are willing to stay home maybe and not even get paid, but just abide by the mayor's orders. So what can legal do about this?
So employers are supposed to be a part of this whole solution, okay? So, you know, you follow the executive order, you do what you're supposed to do. You're just as, you know, involved in this as everybody else. I would say to employers, you know, use common sense. We have got to do this together. This cannot be, well, my business is more important, even though, you know, I'm not sure if it's essential or not. Let people work from home. This is not the time to get into disputes with employees. We all got to figure out how to make this thing work together. Legally, we're still looking at it. So, Mayor's executive order, if you've got an employer who is really not in those guidelines and is not considered one of those essential businesses that have to stay open, yet they're doing it anyway, we'll see. And we don't want to get to that point. That's why we're saying, everybody, use your best judgment. You know, if people can work from home, let them do that. This is really important for the next 2 weeks.
The Vice Mayor is always diplomatic, but what I'm hearing is that, you know, if some employers are unreasonable, okay, then there's the possibility of legal action when the time comes. And I would certainly take that into account. If an employer puts me in harm's way and forces me to do something and I get sick, they're going to get sued by me. It's going to happen. So employers got to use their noodle and be responsible. I understand they have a business to run, okay? That makes perfect sense. And we got to find a balance there. But it's got to be responsible. And, you know, as you've said, Metro Legal's looking at this to see if there's any recourse.
Metro Legal is looking at this.
Let's go to Buzz next. Buzz, good morning. Hi, Buzz.
Hey, how are y'all this morning?
Good. What's on your mind?
Yes, I know that the big problem right now is the health of a lot of people, but also how about the health of Metro's fiscal problems that I hear so much about? I understand that we have a tight economy going on, and it's real critical right now. And I just got back from my local Kroger store. I have a handicap sticker, and every time I go there, there's 3 or 4 people sometimes parked in handicap parking places that do so without regard for anyone else but themselves, and driving very nice automobiles, but they never get ticketed. I imagine that if you could give 25 tickets a day, and I think you could at the one I go to, you could raise a heck of a lot of money for Metro government. And if you take all of the parking areas of grocery stores in Asheville and do that, it would help tremendously for Metro's budget. And I just wondered what you would think about that.
Thank you, sir, and I'm sorry that happens. But Jim, the same ones who are parking in those handicap spaces without the proper placard are the ones buying up all the toilet paper and all these and stockpiling so others can't get it. They are simply selfish and thoughtless.
Well, so I think Buzz makes a good point. They shouldn't be doing that regardless of whether there's the COVID-19, the coronavirus is going on or not. We can certainly pass that along. And look, I mean, one of the things that happens when things kind of slow up and shut down is that you have a chance to, if you can get to the initial stuff and figure out how we're dealing with this crisis, is it does allow people to start thinking through ideas about things that we should be doing better. I think I mentioned last time when I was on the show that, when sometimes we go, God, I wish things would just slow down for just a minute so I can catch back up. Okay, so we're in a slowdown period. This is where we catch back up. So ideas like what Buzz is talking about are good things that we write down and then we pass along. We may not be able to deal with it right now, but we should deal with it. Yeah. And I would also say that his initial point, which is economic situation, obviously that's very, very difficult. Metro was already in a tight budget going in. We can talk more about that later, but we knew it was going to be a tight budget year, and now we've got an economic situation that is not good at all.
Well, and that's exactly right. And that comes next. Right now the focus, as we've been talking about, is dealing with this. But we all know that when this finally does pass and this virus dies down and goes away, we're going to have months and months and months of catching back up to where we were. Okay, right. But those who are concerned about economics right now, aside from the basics, and a lot of what I hear is basics, and that's important, but the big picture of economics right now, that has to take a back seat. We have no choice. It has to take a back seat to dealing with this pandemic.
You got to protect the public first.
Exactly. So just make sure you get your priorities straight, folks. Okay, let's live first, and then let's worry about how we're going to pay for things. All right, let's go next to Mr. Bowen. Mr. Bowen, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
What's on your mind?
I have a citation that I got from Lebanon, Tennessee, but I live in Nashville. And the expiration so far as paying the ticket without me going into a suspension, a license suspension, was up last Friday. Now with the distancing that we have going on, what about the Music City Star? Because I don't have transportation. Is that still rolling?
Okay.
So I think you should go to the website for Music City Star or call them and make sure they're still functioning. I believe that most of the public transportation is still functioning like it's supposed to, but they're taking obviously very, very strict precautions. There were a number of council members that sent messages over, I think, the weekend to make sure that WeGo was still doing what they were supposed to in terms of protecting their employees and protecting the riders, and I believe they're doing everything that they're supposed to do.
I'll tell you what, I suspect that, don't you think a lot of people, he was mentioning the tickets, Jim, about paying traffic tickets. I know people want to do it. I was at the courthouse the other day here, the Birch Building, and there was some fellow that had to pay something. The door was locked there to the clerk's office. He had to slide the paperwork under the door, and they slid it back to him, and there was another fellow that couldn't get through. I don't know about you, but if I have a traffic ticket, and I don't right now, I have every intention to pay it, but I'm not stressing out about it right now.
I wouldn't stress out about it. If it's in Wilson County, obviously. I think you probably should make a phone call before you would ever think about going all the way to Wilson County to pay, because they may not be open. Call them first, see if they're open. They should have, if they're not open, they should have left a message. At this point, I'm not really sure if they're that concerned about these tickets. Obviously, I don't want you to have a late fee. but just call them. I think people are being hopefully very understanding at this point, but I would really encourage you not to take a train from Davidson County over to Wilson County because they may not be open. Call and see what you should do. That's the best thing.
You disappeared behind a graphic there for a moment.
Oh,
but
I
now
did?
you're back up. Yeah, we got you.
Probably better.
People
shot
want to see you. People want to see you. Hey, keep in mind, yes, I can't imagine that when this is through, if you weren't able to pay a ticket or something, any late fees are likely going to be forgiven. We've already seen at the federal level now, we all know we don't have to pay our taxes until July 15th. It's been pushed back, okay? And that's the way it plays out because of everything else that's going on. So everything's postponed. Don't stress about those little things. The main thing is take care of yourself. Okay. Let's go next to Ann. Ann, good morning. What's on your mind,
Good
Ann?
morning.
Good morning.
3 things, and I'll be real quick.
Okay.
First, to let the Vice Mayor know that the East Precinct is doing everything they can do. They're awesome. Sergeant Fisher has been proactive at letting all of us on this side of town be aware of what to expect in the weeks to come, especially if stimulus money starts flying into the mailboxes. And I just want him to know that the East Precinct is doing everything that they can do in this time right now.
We'll pass that along.
Secondly, what is the council doing to assist our Board of Education, because our schools have been crippled on top of low test scores and everything else? We now have had a tornado and we have the COVID. And lastly, with businesses, my husband's business is dependent on machine shops all over the country. What is here in Davidson County is just one small component.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, just scoot through a few of those real quick for us. If
So
you
I'll
would.
pass along the stuff about the East Precinct.
Yeah.
Great. Sergeant Fisher, great. I'll pass it along to Chief Anderson.
By the way, with regard to that, did we not see also yesterday that one of the first cases of coronavirus involving a Metro police officer?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and that's the scary thing, and it doesn't look as though it's spread throughout, but that's one thing I thought about. Gosh forbid, and they're working the front lines, the officers, the fire department, and all this. What if it were to spread through the entire police department? Which there's no indication that's the case, but that's why they have to be protected. Those are very essential employees.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I will say that, I mean, so when I was walking in here today, I was trying to remember. It was 3 weeks ago that we had the tornado. It was March the 3rd. Today is what, March the 24th?
Yep.
3 weeks ago. It seems like it was 3 years ago, not 3 weeks ago, that this happens. Can you imagine what's happened between the tornado and today?
Crazy.
It's just amazing.
Crazy.
Okay, so the council working with the Board of Education, with the school board. So we had a lot of plans in place, you know, trying to figure out how to get more money for teacher pay, how to take care of school supplies, other things like that. Everything has kind of obviously been put back on hold. I think what the school system is doing in terms of trying to put together and feed kids while this is going on and just dealing with it, they're trying to deal with their situations while the mayor's trying to deal with his stuff and the council is trying to figure out what it needs to do at the same time. But you can always rely on your individual council members if you have a particular problem. You know, we're still functioning. We're still doing what we're supposed to do. But good point on the teacher stuff. On the machinery stuff, particularly if it goes across state lines, that's more of a national issue. These things have to continue to function. It depends, you know, again, essential, non-essential. Every state is trying to figure out how to do this. What I can say is that, again, you can almost feel a sense of innovation going on. It's been going on here for the last, you know, week in terms of restaurants realizing that they were going to have to shut down for dining purposes. So they're switching over very quickly to, you know, takeout delivery. Same thing's going to happen with the national model as well in terms of manufacturing. You're seeing companies, big companies, switch over. They realize that it's more important not to make so many cars, but to make ventilators. So the great thing about this country has always been its innovation. You're seeing it go on right now. Just hold on.
Yep.
And you're going to see it. I think you're going to see us, you know, again, if we do what we're supposed to do now, hopefully we'll get out on the other side very quickly. And as Nick said, you know, it's like taking an exam in school. You're sitting there going, what do I want to do when I finish studying and I'm so tired of this? What do I want to do on the other side? Let's hope that other side is a lot quicker.
Exactly.
But we need to do what we need to do right now.
Let's take another phone call. We'll go to Rachel. Rachel, good morning. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
So my brother lives with my elderly mother who has COPD and several other health conditions, and he is trying to take every precaution necessary to make it to where she does not pick this up and possibly, you know, get the coronavirus. And he works at a little food place in a gas station down the road from their house, so it's close to her. If she has a medical issue, he can get to her. Well, he bought a N95 mask and wore it to work, and they told him that he could not wear it. And he said, I am here willing to work. I am not, you know, I don't want to lose my job. And they refused to let him work. And they talked to the general manager about it, and they once again told him he could not wear the mask that he purchased to protect himself and help protect my mother. And they fired him yesterday for insubordination.
Do you imagine?
And I was wondering.
I'm just curious. Do you know why they told him he couldn't wear it? Were they afraid that customers would see it and think he was sick?
That's what we were thinking.
Okay, I'm just guessing. Okay, go on. I'm sorry for interrupting. What were you going to ask?
It's okay. I was wondering, you know, if you guys have any advice that we can move forward with this.
Okay.
I mean, he helps pay the bills and take care of my mom, so.
Okay, let's hit that. That's an interesting one, Jim. I mean, he's trying to protect himself. I understand maybe from the point of view of the employer, though I don't sympathize with what he did there. I think that was wrong. But
yeah, I don't either.
You see someone behind. If you're a customer, you walk in, you see someone with a mask. I don't know that I'd make a flat-out assumption, would you? I would think, one, either that person's trying to be protective. I would not assume he's sick, because I'm thinking if that person is sick, that employer is not going to let him work behind there. Now, that's if you trust that, I suppose. What do you think about cases like this? He was trying to be proactive, had one of the good masks. I want to know how he got that. That's great. But, I mean, what about that?
So I'm going through a lot of things in my mind trying to figure out. So that's exactly what we really don't want to happen. I mean, the individual showed up for work, taking care of sick older person that is at risk, particularly with COPD. I don't know. I mean, this is where the country has to pull together.
Well, what would be rational in this point? I mean, as a business owner, I mean, you're right. I don't know what we can tell her, but what should have been the rational move here? You know, I don't know there's any good outcome. Either he wears the mask or he doesn't work. Then he can't make money, okay? The employer sees him wearing the mask and says, this is going to scare away customers and that'll shut us down. So I don't know what you do. That's just a hard thing. And there's a lot of scenarios like that going on out there right now.
I mean, I'm really, this one has got me. I'm not sure what to tell you to do. It sounds like everybody was doing what they were supposed to. You know, the people who can be most impacted by this, at least, you know, generally, are older people or people who have underlying health conditions. But particularly older people, and if he's taking care of an older person and he wants to take precautions himself, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, you know, if you walk around, even if you drive around, or if you watch the news, you see people with masks on.
Sure you do.
I don't know. I'm willing to help. You can certainly send me an email at jim.shulman@nashville.gov, SHULMAN. I feel really bad about the situation. I don't know if there's anything that I can do, but I'm certainly willing to try to help. We need people working. We need people with these convenience stores open. That's one of those things that's an essential service.
Yeah, my take is, Jim, logic would dictate in cases like this. If I see someone with a mask out and about, I am not assuming that they are sick, okay?
No,
maybe they are, but I am assuming they're trying to protect themselves. And we've been told also, by the way, that masks are really there for the, you know, the healthcare workers first and foremost, but that they're really there for people that are already in bed to protect the healthcare workers who have to lean over them and treat them. Right. But I mean, most people that have full-blown coronavirus are not out walking around buying a sandwich in a grocery store, or making sandwiches back there. So if they're wearing a mask, I assume they're wearing them to protect themselves and me. So I think them bringing the hammer down on him like that was wrong. I just think that was wrong.
So the new normal right now is, you know, you go places, you go to the grocery store, and people are wearing masks.
Yeah.
I don't think they're sick. They wouldn't be out if they're sick. If they're sick and they've got this,
right, they're going to be in bed.
They're at home.
They're going to be in bed.
Yeah. So,
all right. Common, like Jim said, it's got to be common sense, right? Logic.
Yeah, I feel really bad about that one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I appreciate her call because I guarantee you she's not the only one coming across that scenario. Look, we have to take a quick break. When we do come back, we'll continue with more comments on Facebook. We're live at newschannel5.com. And callers there will be with you for the next 10 minutes. Stay with us.